Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the communication habits of some of the most effective leaders out there. We're going to look at the subtle but powerful formula they use to command respect and get people to really listen, and, more importantly, to act. So let's start with this. Have you ever been in a room where one person starts talking and, just like that, everyone goes quiet and leans in? What is it about them? Why do their words seem to carry so much more weight? Well, here's the secret. It's not some kind of magic, and it's definitely not about being the loudest person in the room. Turns out there's a very specific and very learnable formula behind it all. Okay, let's dive right into the core of this. According to behavioral psychologists, all truly influential communication, all of it, boils down to sending two key signals. And that's the secret code we're going to unlock today: warmth and competence. You see, our brains are basically hardwired to ask two questions when we meet someone. Can I trust you, which is warmth, and are you good at what you do, which is competence. The faster you can get a yes to both of those questions, the more people will instinctively trust and respect you. Yeah, just think of it like two sides of the same coin. Warmth is what builds that connection, that feeling of, hey, we're in this together. Competence, on the other hand, that's what builds the raw respect, the feeling that, okay, this person knows their stuff. The absolute best leaders are masters of both. So let's break this down, and we'll start with competence. How do you actually project that sense of authority and credibility, just with the words and the way you carry yourself? Well, competent speakers, they get right to the point. They don't give you a long, rambling preamble. Nope. They start with the headline. They frame the whole conversation decisively from that very first sentence, and that is what makes people lean in. We've all heard this, right? Maybe we've even said it. It's apologetic, it's indirect, and let's be honest, it sounds weak. It basically signals that you don't have much confidence in what you're about to say. But now, look at the difference here. A competent communicator just reframes the whole thing. They start with a problem, they hint at a solution, which adds value for the listener, and they set a clear, respectful time limit. It's direct, it's confident, and it is so much more likely to get a yes. Okay, but what about that moment we all dread when you don't know the answer? You can still project confidence. Instead of getting flustered, you just pause, offer your initial gut reaction, and then, and this is the key part, you outline a clear process for finding the actual answer. You're not saying, I don't know. You're saying, here's how I'm going to find out for us. This is so critical. It's about cutting the fluff. When you use fewer, sharper words, especially when they're backed by data, each word carries so much more weight. A vague plan is easy to ignore. A hard number, well, that demands attention. Now, competence on its own can come across as a little cold, right? A little intimidating. So let's look at the other, equally important side of this whole equation: projecting warmth and actually building that human connection. Get this. A simple nonverbal cue, like a slow, deliberate triple nod while someone is talking, can have a huge impact. It's this powerful, silent signal that just says, I'm listening, I'm with you, keep going. Research actually shows it encourages the other person to talk for almost 70% longer. Wild, right? And your body language, it completely changes the message. Just picture it. The focused look of confidence, narrowed eyes, maybe steepling the fingers. Compare that to the open, inviting posture of warmth, a little head tilt, a smile. One says, I'm analyzing. The other says, I'm listening. Okay, so this is where it all comes together. The true masters of communication, they don't just lean on one or the other. No, they're more like expert chefs who know exactly when and how to blend these two ingredients for the biggest impact. One of the most powerful tools in their toolkit is the strategic pause. Just a 2-second silence after you make a big point. It gives your words gravity. But here's the next level move: extending that pause while holding up a single finger. It's this nonverbal cue that says, hang on, I'm not done, and it stops anyone from jumping in while you let your point really sink in. There's just something about the number 3, isn't there? Our brains are just wired for it. It feels balanced, it feels complete. So whenever you can, try to structure your key ideas in threes. It makes everything you say feel more organized and way, way easier for people to remember. And please, please remember this. We are creatures of narrative. A good story connects on an emotional level in a way that a spreadsheet just never, ever will. People might forget the 12% stat by tomorrow, but they will remember the story of almost losing the company.
Okay, this next one is a real game changer. It's about commanding the frame. Instead of getting pulled into an argument on someone else's terms, you redefine the entire lens of the conversation. Because whoever controls the frame, well, they control the whole debate.
So, we've covered a lot. The big question is, how do you actually apply this stuff? Well, it all starts with understanding your own natural tendency, your personal communication fingerprint.
Look, almost everyone has a default setting, right? You either naturally lean more towards competence, direct, data-driven, or you lean more towards warmth, collaborative, friendly. The key is self-awareness. Knowing where you start from is the first step to consciously bringing the other side into balance.
All right, so here's a fantastic, super actionable piece of homework for you. Go into your sent mail folder and just analyze the last 20 or so emails you wrote. Make 2 columns, one for warmth words and one for competence words. Tally them up. This is going to give you hard data on your natural style, and it'll show you exactly where you need to adjust.
So, there you have it. That's the formula. Because in the end, real leadership isn't just about talking. It's about provoking thought. It's about moving people to action. You now have the tools. The only question is, how are you going to use them?